The latest album from award-winning Catholic singer-songwriter Kara Klein is titled Catch Me. Filled with songs drawn from her own experiences, Kara's upbeat and encouraging music offers inspiration to all. Meet musical artist Kara Klein on this edition of FaithWorks. Hello and welcome to Kara Klein, who is our special guest today on the program. Kara, could you tell us a little bit about your family, which has a lot to do with how you became the singer, songwriter, and Catholic artist that you are, and root us back in New Orleans and how you ever got to Nashville? You can do that in 2 minutes, please.
Yes. Well, I'm from Nashville, and I have 6 siblings, and I'm from a Catholic family. My mom, in particular, had a really, really strong faith, and from the time I was young, I witnessed her faith. You know, she had a real hunger for God and a faith that wasn't just, it wasn't just by the way that she preached or by something that she said, but I saw a faith that she lived, a faith that was really concrete and a really deep hunger for God within her, a love for God. And it really touched my life at a very young age. And I felt a hunger to know God. And so that was born within me, a faith at a young age, and I started seeking God, and I loved singing, I loved being in plays, I loved musical theater, I loved writing music, and so I started down a path of music when I was pretty young, 13, 14, and started writing Christian music throughout my teenage years, and I had a father who really believed in in the gift that God had given me, and we released my first CD when I was 18, and that's kind of how my music ministry, doing Catholic music, began.
And not only has it begun well when you were only 18, but by 2008, you had been chosen by your peers as the Catholic Female Vocalist of the Year. And how did you feel with that distinction, and what was it that they were probably liking most about your music?
I'm not sure what they liked most about my music, but it was a really big honor, for sure. I was very honored by it because there's so many other Catholic artists that I admire. That year, I was chosen with Matt Maher. He was the Catholic Male Artist of the Year, and I was the Catholic Female Artist of the Year. And it was just such a big honor because I admire Matt so much, and I've sung alongside him several times. And he's just someone that I just love his music. I love his work, and I love the way that I can see him living his faith. You can see that his faith is a really authentic one. You can see that in his eyes. You can see that by the way he speaks, And there are other artists that I know and that I love, and that I admire, not just their work, but I admire that authenticity that I see in them.
Now, Matt is going to be in the diocese at another time coming up, and then also Tori Harris was with us, and she's another one of your colleagues there from New Orleans back in Nashville.
Yes, Tori is a friend of mine, and she's also an amazing Catholic Christian artist. And it's wonderful because we are both Louisianians living in Nashville, so we have that special connection that we're both, these Southern girls from Louisiana and now living in Nashville, which is such a gift.
Now, if we wanted to give people a glimpse of your music, we've chosen 2 songs that we think might give them a good idea of your style and also your message. Lead us into why we would have chosen Simply Father as a good song for us to enjoy.
Simply Father really, to me, describes a lot about my faith journey. It's a song about God the Father. And my faith journey was my conversion story rather, I should say, was one of not so much faith, but one of trust. Because I had faith at a very, very young age. I was given the gift of faith. I believed in God. I never really doubted God, but I didn't trust him. I didn't have this deep, deep trust in who he was, and I didn't really trust in his goodness and in who he was as my father. And but at the same time, I said yes to him. I wanted to follow him. I believed in him. I loved him. I wanted to follow his commands. I wanted to know him. And so I was very devout. And what happened in my life is as I kept following him and kept saying yes to him, but did not trust him, did not know his goodness, a lot of tragedies happened in my family. One was that I lost my brother. One was that I also lost my father. And after I lost my father, I had a real hunger to know God the Father, and I had this sense of being fatherless, and a really, really deep pain, and I was really aware of that lack of trust within my own heart. And it was a time in my life where I really cried out to God the Father, and just realized, like, Lord, I've known you as so many different things, you know. I've wanted to follow you, like I've wanted to serve you. I've wanted to, you know, to just like for you to be my master, for you to be my king, for you to be my savior. But I want to know you as my Father, you know, and my Father that I trust, and my Father that I can just abandon myself to you as your little child. And so that's what this song is about.
To discover all your signs, every shadow, every line upon your face. Speak your voice. Is it loud or is it soft, or do you see? A holler in the night, or a whisper through the trees that's calling me. Are you ruler? Are you king? Are you master? Are you friend? Have you really counted each and every hair upon my head? Magnificent Lord of Lords, all-knowing author, for me, could you just be simply Father? Are you here? As close as my breath, or far away, like the breeze I cannot see that brushes over me throughout my day. Do you see every heartbeat and every thought? Have you woven and spun my every inward part? Is that the kind of maker you are? Oh, ruler and king, beginning and end. At evening, will you still count each hair upon my head? Hear this orphan's cry, let it rise to your altar. For me, could you just be? Oh, for me, won't you just be simply Father?
Once you did find this Father coming clearer to you, as you're trusting more in simply Father, it seemed like your missionary vocation really took off. And I'd like you to lead us down the road of your world travels. I think you've been in places such as World Youth Day with the Pope, Pope Benedict in Cologne. You've been also in Italy in that community. Share a little bit about this experience of being a missionary, sharing this faith of yours and this trust of yours.
Yeah, you know, it's been a very, very ironic experience that I've had traveling, because it was such a blessed experience that I've had traveling around the country and around the world. And when you travel around the world, I think that your eyes are open to so many things, and you learn so much that, first of all, you have an appreciation for what we have in America that you just can't have if you don't leave and see the way that other places of the world are. But what has happened to me as I've seen the rest of so many other places in the world, I've seen how simple our call as Christians really is. You know, we don't have to travel. You know, I always thought that I had to do so many great things with my life to be a Christian. And, you know, more and more, it's funny, it's been ironic because the more I've traveled, the more I've seen how important it is to love those who are closest to me in my own home, you know, those who are closest to me in my own town, in my own city. You know, the way that the more I've gone and evangelized, the further I've gone and evangelized, the more I've seen the need for evangelization to those who are closest to me. You know, it's been really interesting to see and to learn that.
Now, one thing that I'd like you to share is your airport experiences, which seem to be putting you in touch with the world that is local, because you're at an airport anywhere, and suddenly people are being able to be witnessed to, or they're witnessing to you by their very presence.
Right. And so that's just it, is that, you know, so many times we think that we have to go so far off or do something great, and then the truth is that the call, and the Lord reminds me of this over and over again, is just to look at the person that's in front of us and to love today whoever happens to be in front of us. The question is always, who is right in front of me, and how can I love them? How can I serve them? How can I be Jesus to them? That is always the question of our lives. And the Lord is constantly showing me how to live out that call. And lately I've been having these experiences where I've been in airports, or I've been in stores, or I've been, you know, in just everyday life, having this opportunity to evangelize. And recently, just yesterday, I was in an airport, and this guy came up to me and he started talking to me, and I really wasn't interested in speaking with him. And the more he spoke with me, I saw that he was really in need of evangelization, because he was an atheist. He didn't believe in the Lord at all. And he had had a really terrible experience of Christianity in his life. And as we were talking, you know, I saw the need just for love in his life, and the need for the light of Christ, you know, to touch his heart. And I told him, because he just said, you know, all religions are the same. Every religion is just the same. And I said, no, you know, all religions are not the same. And I said, you know, think of Mother Teresa, you know, the way that she encountered this love that just transformed her, that she had to go and share that love with others. And I said, you know, think of the Catholic Church and what it has done, the way that we've served the poor, that we've taken in the orphan, clothed the naked, fed the hungry. What other church has done that? And I said, you know, Christianity is not just about encountering something, it's about encountering some love that is just so, it fills your heart with joy. It's about encountering someone that truly transforms your whole life, that gives us the deepest joy. And he said, yeah, that's nice. And I said, no, Christianity is not nice. Christianity is glorious. And I just saw that a seed was planted in his heart, you know, like he really just took a step back and was like, what have I gotten myself into, you know, but that need for us to be Jesus wherever we are, and to speak the truth wherever we are. And then ironically, later that day, I was on a flight with someone who was full of joy, full of life, full of peace. And I thought to myself, this man must be a Christian. And sure enough, he was a Catholic who lives here in Fresno, John O'Rourke. And he came to an event with me this morning where I was speaking and singing. And so it was just beautiful to see, you know, this beautiful and also interesting to see this difference, you know, that when we live our faith, others should be able to see it. They should be able to notice that something is different about us. Like I saw in this man, John, you know, I could see immediately this joy, this light in him. And yet this atheist was covered in darkness. And so, yeah, there's an opportunity wherever we are, you know, to be that light in the world. I given my life to the Lord, and what happened was that life did not necessarily go my way. You know, I had several tragedies strike my family.
KNXT thanks all its loyal viewers and respected businesses who have supported your Catholic television station. Now you can support KNXT with program underwriting by having your name, your company's name, or organization associated with your favorite program. Detailed information about you or your company will appear before and after each program or day part you select. Keep the quality and spiritual message alive and make a difference. Call 559-488-7440 today or go online at knxt.tv to find out more about program underwriting on KNXT.
Hello and welcome to our continuing conversation with Kara Klein, Catholic composer, songwriter, spiritual leader, and someone who has a commitment, I think, above all, to divine providence. It seems as a Catholic single person, you have to trust in God an awful lot for your life. How do you work that out, Kara?
Yes, that's very true. You do have to trust in God very much, I think, especially when you're single. But I think that we are all called to trust radically in God's providence, which is not something that we always do when we're in the West and we're in such a place of self-sufficiency. And one experience that I had that truly changed my life was after my father passed away, I went to do an experience in a lay Catholic community called Cenacolo, and it's an Italian community. And it was started by a little nun 30 years ago in Italy to originally help recovering addicts. And today there's 65 houses all over the world. And it helps not only recovering addicts still, but there's 2,000 members and tons of people come and live in this community and just really rediscover the joy of living. And it was something that I was really, really drawn to. Just for many, many years, because I knew that their charism was just joy. You know, their charism was just this love of life. And they had just opened a girls' house in northern Florida. And right after my dad passed away, I decided to go do an experience there for a couple months. And I ended up staying much longer than that. I stayed 15 months in a girls' house in northern Florida, and then I lived in the north of Italy. But it's not for religious, it's just for lay people. So lay people come and they, lots of young guys and girls, they don't make any formal commitment. They just come and live in community together and live lives of prayer and work. And it's very simple. But one of the charisms and one of the things that really struck me and changed me was that they live off of divine providence. And so they don't work for money, they don't ask for money. And one of the miracles is that the community has not only survived, it's expanded to 65 houses all over the world just through the donations. I mean, we wouldn't even ask for food. People would literally bring us our groceries to our doorstep, and we wouldn't ask. And so this, you know, living a year like that truly changed my trust in God, because I started to really see on such a concrete level that God is truly a Father who provides for us, who knows our needs. I mean, we would need something and it would show up. We'd need something and it would show up. And I watched that happen over and over again. And the nun who started this community, she set it up purposefully that way, because so many of the guys and girls that were coming in, she knew that they were not people of faith, and she wanted them to see God is a Father who will provide for you. And this was one concrete way that they would be able to see that.
So we played Simply Father, which plays up this theme that God is a loving Father. Now what we're going to do is play Waymaker, which after we hear it, is there one thing you'd like to say before we hear it? And then what we're going to do is be able to see how that song really verbalizes this understanding you have of God making a way for us almost in spite of ourselves.
Yeah, he does. And that's exactly what the song is about, is that how God makes a way where we don't see the way over and over again. That's what Scripture says. The Lord is our way maker. He leads the blind on the journey. It's not because we see that he makes the way. We're blind, but he will make the way.
Lord of all ages, God of Abraham, who paves the way through barren deserts into the promised land. Now I stand before you, and I can't
Kara, that song I really enjoy. I kind of usually like good Christian Catholic music, but the message of that song I really can identify with, asking God to actually just make a way where we in our own efforts are not going to get there. We see walls, we see deserts, we see rivers to cross. God can make a way. Can you help us understand how you are trying in so many different ways to bring that message to the Catholic community through the new evangelization? How you are using songs like this and the other 198 that you've written to lead us to understand there is a way and God can make it for us.
Well, what I mainly do, is just share my story. I share when I go out and I give talks or I give concerts, to youth or adults or people of all ages. I feel like the best thing that I can give is the story of how God has worked in my life and how God has worked in my family. And like I said, I had given my life to the Lord, and what happened was that life did not necessarily go my way. I had several tragedies strike my family. I had a lot of my fears come true. I was very afraid to suffer, and a lot of suffering came my way. I lost a brother. I lost my father. I had another brother who had spiraled into an addiction. I had a sister who had come home pregnant. I began to really struggle in my own life with tremendous anxiety, tremendous fear. I struggled a lot with myself, and it was very, very hard. But what I saw was that the Lord, in His goodness and His faithfulness, took every situation that was just in ashes and turned it to beauty. He took every single situation that was in darkness and brought it to light. Every situation and circumstance within my family, He brought good out of it. And that's the promise that we have with our faith, is not that if we say yes to God and we give our lives to Him, that life just goes our way, because it doesn't always, but that the Lord is good and He's merciful and He can only bless us. And so it doesn't matter, in a sense, what happens in our life. If it's rain or sun, the Lord will take either one and He'll use it for good. He'll use it to bless us. He'll use it to shape us. He'll use it for glory if we just say yes to Him, if we just trust Him. And every single situation that was in my life, in my family, the Lord took it and he brought glory out of it. Every cross, He brought a resurrection out of it. Every single one. It was so beautiful.
It seems that Pope Francis, who hasn't been mentioned in the program, is still very present today in your conversation. What inspiration do you get personally from the leadership that Pope Francis is giving us with his message, which you seem to resonate with very clearly?
I love his love for the poor. I think that this Pope is a Pope for the poor. And to me, that is Jesus, because Jesus was a God for the poor. And I think that oftentimes, we get this idea that Christianity is for the rich. And I don't mean like physically rich, I mean spiritually rich. Christianity is for those who have it together. Jesus Christ is for those. It's like we can easily get into this belief that the Lord is so pleased with those, who get it right, who have all the virtue. Basically, God is a God for the rich. And Pope Francis is like, no. God is a God He has come for the poor, the poorest of the poor. And that poverty comes in all different forms. That can be material poverty, that can be spiritual poverty, that can be emotional poverty. But the Lord is a lover of the poor. And Pope Francis has embraced the poor. And I love that. I love that.
Where can people be in contact with you, Kara? Where can the social media world touch you and be touched by you beginning today?
They can go to my website, which is karaklein.com, KARAKLEIN.com. I'm also on Facebook. There's a lot of information on Facebook. I always post all my blogs and writings and information, which is just, again, Kara Klein, my name, or Kara Klein Music. Twitter, Instagram, all the normal social media. You can usually just find it under my name, Kara Klein.
I want to thank you so much, because what you have shared today is not only wonderful music, which is a gift that you do have, and people really will enjoy your music, which is also available easily through
iTunes, yeah.
But the message that you verbalize of your own personal journey, your own faith, I want to thank you for sharing that with our public, because we need people like you, young people, speaking to young people about their faith and their trust. Thanks for sharing your little conversion story and for being here today in our studio. We wish you the best in all of your future endeavors, that you will keep doing the things you're doing for a long time, Kara.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.